Joe Biden continues to try to, split the baby by offering amnesty to hundreds of thousands of people. These so-called DACA undocumented spouses could be eligible to stay and get benefits, 50,000 children under the age of 21. They're easing work visa processes and so on. He's basically saying you don't have to be deported if you're an undocumented spouse or child of somebody who's here lawfully, right? Which is such BS. I have to tell you, I have a nephew. He is American. He went over to Korea. He taught little kids for several years. He met a Korean woman. He married her. They have a child with dual citizenship. My nephew moved back to America with his son, who has American citizenship. They cannot get the mom over here. Of course, they're doing it legally, but they can't. She wants a green card. She wants a permission to work here. She's a lawyer. She can't get in. She can't get in to be with her son and her American citizen husband. But these illegals can, because Joe Biden only favors those who do things unlawfully. You have to break the law and then seek amnesty, and then that makes you somehow more sympathetic. Anyway, he's doing that. At the same time, he's trying to sound hawkish on the border and coming up with all sorts of new rhetoric on how he's going to crack down with these executive orders, which are utterly meaningless. All right, against that backdrop, because this is a massive campaign issue, we see not one, but at least two, and there are multiple crimes that have happened against young girls, young adolescent girls over the past 2 weeks. But I'm just going to take two in the news, which Trump is just crazy if he does not bring up at this debate. Someone needs to answer for what's happened to these young girls. It's like what happened to Lake and Riley. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, say her name at the State of the Union. Somebody should say that at this debate. It needs to be Trump. In Houston, Monday, June the 17th, Jocelyn Nungari, age 12, was murdered. She was, according to the mayor there, walking. She was at a convenience store and was talking to her 13-year-old boyfriend on the phone. She had sneaked out of her family's apartment. Kids do that. And the boyfriend told investigators he could hear her talking with two people who we now believe may have lived in the same apartment complex that the young girl did. And they left the 7-Eleven. Then the three of them walked to a bridge, and investigators say she was strangled to death. The mayor says that she was raped, and this young girl, age 12, by these immigrants, illegals from Venezuela, Johan Jose Rangel Martinez, 21, and Franklin Jose Peña Ramos, 26, who sneaked into El Paso, Texas in May and March, respectively, and were caught. They caught them and then released them, of course, which they do with virtually every single one that they catch. And they went on to rape this girl. Both have now been caught and charged with capital murder. Secondly, there's a little girl in the state of New York. She was just 13, and she was raped by an illegal immigrant. And this has come into the news because given the nature of what happened, she was picked up by this guy and raped in a park in Queens. He was from Ecuador. Christian Giovanni Ingalandi, 25 years old, from Ecuador. He first came into the country in 2021. He was captured by the Border Patrol. He was released as well. This guy was ordered to leave by immigration in 2022, but never did. He held the victim and a teen boy at knife point before tying them up and sexually assaulting this young girl. It's the second case that they were discussing on MSNBC of the 13-year-old girl in New York. Joy Reid and her guest, Pramila Jayapal, Democrat from Washington, member of the Squad. And the reason they think the rape of this young 13-year-old girl is relevant is because Fox chose to headline it. And headlines like Fox's are what's leading people to wrongly, on the Dem and Republican side, want deportations of illegals now. It's not the rapes and the murders. It's the misleading Fox headlines, which wasn't misleading at all, or just the headlining of it at all that has them upset. Look at this clip.
Soon, Biden announces legal protections for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. CNN's banner said Biden announces new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner: migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old in New York City.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem, right?
Exactly.
Is that you have
That's
a lot
part
of fear-mongering.
They're able to laugh about it, Victor. They think it's kind of funny. It's so funny, the fear-mongering. Tell it to this little girl's father, last point, who said to the New York Post, "It turned my world upside down. The healing process has yet to begin. My mind is really swirling with all of the anger I have right now." When asked about his daughter's state, he simply replied, "You can't even imagine." Let's just leave it at that. But they think it's funny over at MSNBC that they chose to highlight her condition at Fox News.
Yeah, this goes on. I wrote a book, Mexifornia, 20 years ago, and it was happening then. And I got really criticized for it because they said, you're an alarmist, it's not that bad. But these people, Joy Reid is a multimillionaire. She's protected by her zip code, her influence. Same thing with the Squad, same thing with Kamala Harris, same thing with Joe Biden, same thing with Nancy Pelosi, same thing with Gavin. All the architects or Chuck Schumer of these policies, it's all predicated on one thing. They live in areas, or they associate in areas, or they have resources that this doesn't happen to them. It never happens to them. And it's not just the murders, which is horrific. It's the assault, it's the rape. And, where I live, Megyn, we had the cartels execute 5 people last year. They went into a house and just wiped them out. And when I go, it's the little things. I pick up the Fresno Bee every day, and there's a hit and run with horrific traffic accidents, and the person leaves the scene of the accident. It's a mess. Half the accidents in Los Angeles County, the perpetrator leaves, the responsible party leaves the scene. And if you lived on my boulevard and you drive to town one day and you see 15 people stripped down to their boxer shorts and SWAT teams are there, and then you ask them later what happened, well, it was gun running, it was trafficking, it was drugs. They're all illegal. And then they're all back. Or if you're walking on your property and you turn around, you turn a corner and you've got a freezer, you've got car seats, and you've got a ton of trash, and it's all in Spanish. And you ask yourself, this is an environmental desecration. You call the authorities and they say, don't call us. Don't call us. So what I'm getting at is all of the fallout from this insane policy of open borders falls on people that these elites who were the architects never experienced, and they don't care. They're very callous, cruel people. They don't care about the detritus and the damage that they do to other people. And the problem is, when you have an ideology where an immigrant says to themselves, I'm going to intentionally, the first thing I'm going to do is break the law by illegally entering the United States. The second thing I'm going to do is illegally reside in the United States. And the third thing I'm going to do illegally is find some type of ID or illegal means to perpetuate what I had done prior. Then that creates an ideology, a mentality that I am protected, I'm exempt. For whatever reason, these crazy Americans will punish the legal immigrant, they'll make it, but not me. And therefore, if I have if I have a used dryer, I'm just going to go out in the country and dump it. If I go to the local supermarket and I have 6 different EBT cards or WIC cards, that's fine. Or if I'm going to drive and I happen to hit somebody, I'm just going to leave the old clunker and take off. It creates a mentality, and everybody understands that. And Joe Biden, the fact that he created this surge with 8 to 10 million people. And only now, as his election looms, is he even trying to do something, both pandering and then feigning that he's trying to close the border. But it reflects about this amorality of these people. They don't care. They don't care about anybody but their own little sense that I am progressive and I am so nice to people and I'm compassionate. But
I've got to show you the next soundbite, because that's exactly right. Simone Sanders is a woman who worked for Bernie Sanders when he was running, and then went on to work for Joe Biden's reelection, and then for the White House for a stint, and now hosts her own show on MSNBC. They're over there talking about these cases, how, illegals murdering Americans. And she doesn't like the use of the term illegal. Look at this.
What are they doing now?
Which people?
The folks, the 11 million, 20 million, whatever you want to deport.
A lot of them are committing crimes like murdering the 12-year-old girl in Houston. In fact,
so that's
we're very
one. That's
concerned about
one
that.
out of 11 million. What is the difference between an illegal immigrant who unfortunately engages in that activity?
And we don't like that. I want to be clear. We don't use the term illegal. So
we don't.
Undocumented individuals.
That's sweet. They're illegal aliens.
Undocumented.
That's the head of the Heritage Foundation talking to former Republican Michael Steele. I mean, they say he's still a Republican, but he used to run the RNC. Michael Steele gets chastised in asking questions about the murder of this 12-year-old girl we just discussed, and uses the term for her perpetrator, illegal immigrant. And that's where she saw fit to jump in. You're not allowed to refer to this murderer as an illegal. That's offensive to this person. Victor, I can't.
I don't know what to tell you about it. All I know is that both Simone and Michael Steele, if they lived in the Rio Grande Valley, if they lived in rural Fresno County, if they lived in the inner city of Chicago, if they lived in Los Angeles County, and they had to deal with this problem every single day, the least of their worries would be undocumented, illegal. And the word, what does she prefer? Undocumented? Did she really believe that these people just forgot their documents and now they're undocumented? They never had any documents. They never had any intention to get any documents. They didn't want any documents when they came across. They came across because they felt that there's a bi-coastal elite that's guilt-ridden and feels good about themselves when they open the borders at other people's expenses that they never see, they don't care about, and they deprecate and call illiberal when they have to deal with the consequences of these people's abstract ideologies. And you know what? And that's why you're seeing a big surge for conservative candidates, not among so-called white people, but among Mexican Americans and Black people who have to deal with this.
Do you ever think, how can I work this hard and still be in debt? The piles of overdue bills, the threatening phone calls, and never having money to do anything. It just won't stop. If you are trapped in debt, Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed aggressive new strategies to end your debt permanently. Done with Debt stands between you and your harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate with your creditors to lower or even forgive what you owe. They do it all without bankruptcy or new loans. One client said, "One phone call saved us a fortune. I wish we did this long ago." Done with Debt has unique strategies to get you out of debt faster and put even more money in your pocket every month. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their debt relief strategists for free and you have nothing to lose except your debt. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.